International South Africa has released a report that's titled Broken and Unequal. The report looks into the state of education in South Africa and also examines access to quality education for children in South Africa's school system, with a particular focus on the provinces of Gauteng, Eastern Cape and Limpopo. The report details some of the key challenges that are hindering the ability of South Africa to comply with its right to education obligations under both its own constitution and international as well as regional human rights law. We speak about the report now with Mienke Steytler. She is a media and digital content officer at Amnesty International South Africa. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you for having me.
So the report raises an important point, as I said on my introduction, really looking into the challenges that are hindering the ability of the country to comply with its education obligations under both the constitution and the international and regional laws.
Yes, exactly. So, of course, most of us here in South Africa are aware of our constitution, the rights that are therein. Of course, the implementation of that is sometimes lacking. But what I don't think a lot of people know is that South Africa has ratified international laws and standards as well, including a covenant on economic, social and cultural rights under which education falls. And South Africa is actually expected to report to the UN on this as well. And even the UN has given recommendations. So what we've done in the report is, people will say it's nothing new, but we've gone back into the field. We partnered with the National Association of School Governing Bodies with a survey that we did, and we went and we revisited issues like infrastructure, overcrowding, transport, and even the way in which schools are financed to try and see what is the picture. And we did this in Limpopo, Gauteng and the Eastern Cape, and there was also some field work in the Western Cape as well.
Yeah. All right. So the choice for the three provinces, is it the fact that we've seen a number of challenges in schools in those three?
Yes. So we looked at, of course, what was, how long would it take us, what was our capacity and so forth, and how could we get the best idea. Now, we gave the Department of Basic Education the opportunity to respond. They did see the executive summary, and now we launched the full report last night, so they now have the full report as well. We are very keen to engage. One of the points that they came back with was that we had chosen these particular provinces and that it wasn't a reflection of the rest of the country.
Is it not a reflection of the rest of the country, though?
We think it is. To a big degree, and we also think that it doesn't matter if there is one school or 24,000 schools that don't have sanitation, for example. 37 schools have no sanitation whatsoever, and we are all familiar with the pit latrine discussion as well. So for us, we're saying, well, whether it's all 9 provinces or 3 provinces, the issue is that it has to be fixed and it needs to be sorted out.
Yeah, but as you said earlier, that these barriers really are not necessarily anything new. I mean, if you talk about inadequate school transport, if you talk about overcrowding, if you talk about teacher shortages or teacher capacity and training, these are issues that have been raised over and over and over again. Why are we still sitting here 26 years into democracy and still talking about learners learning under trees, learners who have to walk distances to schools?
And that's what we're asking. So organizations like Equal Education and Section 27 have done incredible work and have really worked away at this for a very long time. So we as Amnesty wanted to highlight it again and highlight the amazing work that they do. There's also, our added value is that we can bring a global light to it, because we also feel that people globally don't know that young South African or young children in South Africa have to go to these awful toilets when they go to school. And the fact that we're still sitting with this, we're worried that we'll sit with this again in 25 years' time. We'll be having the same conversation, and we've started a campaign around this, the right to quality education for all, because we feel that the time is now. It cannot be put on the backbenches anymore, and especially with the State of the Nation address happening tomorrow evening. We're very interested to hear what has changed since last year and what is being planned, and we are going to hold the government to account. We don't want to shout at them, we want to engage and talk about maybe we can all work together to get to solutions. I think President Ramaphosa said that in one of your earlier inserts as well, that everyone has to work together, and we completely agree. But we cannot sit here 20 years from now and still have the same issues, and then maybe having to name more children that have drowned in pit latrines. That's just unacceptable.
So as you say that all eyes are on the president tomorrow, let's just talk about specifics of what you're hoping to hear, because we understand that education gets a huge chunk of the country's budget, but are you hopeful that things will will tend for the better.
Yeah, we are hopeful. He did touch on, for example, the prickle last year. We want to see what is, how many have they eradicated by this year, and whether they will be reaching their target that they set for themselves for the end of 2022. And the other thing that we really call for in our recommendations, look, our report isn't just criticizing, it's also saying what are the recommendations, how can it, be changed. And one of them is just to look at the review and possible reform then of the way that the budget is spent, because we are one of the countries that spends a lot on our education, or a big chunk of our, it's always budget, around 20%, somewhere around there, of our total budget on education. But why are we not seeing the impact of it? And why are young students, why is where they live, what their socioeconomic background is, and the color of their skin, let's be frank, still dictating the quality of education that they are receiving? And those are the sort of things that we would love to hear.
I wish we had more time on this, but I'm afraid we have to leave it at this. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
All right. Many thanks there to Mienke Steytler. She is Media and Digital Content Officer at Amnesty International South Africa, talking to us about this report, really, which is titled Broken and Unequal, that looks at the state of our schools here in the country.